It's been a long time coming, but the 2025 Formula One season gets underway this week with the pre-season Bahrain test. This is the moment when all of the work the teams do over the winter comes together. Nothing else than speed matters during these days. The launch might have gone well and the hype might be there, but if it's not corresponding on track, it's all been for nothing. So, following the fuzz of Formula One's first collective season livery launch in London last week, the focus has shifted to something far more important: pre-season testing, where we'll see the real cars for the first time. However, for the first time since 2020, Bahrain is not hosting the campaign's first round. This provides a new obstacle for the teams and is one of the hot topics ahead of the event. And what about yearly anomalies like sandbagging? Will we see it return this year, or will the teams really focus on testing now that they have to move to Australia right after it? Here's a breakdown of some of the key topics to watch this week. How the rookies perform in their new machinery. Famously, this time a year ago, F1 was entering a new campaign with no changes to the driver lineup. Rookies now account for 30% of the grid, with 3 falling into a somewhat unique subcategory. Liam Lawson, Oliver Bearman, and Jack Doohan have started 11, 3, and 1 F1 race, respectively, but nevertheless account for half of the new rookie crop due to their appearances thus far being stand-ins or on temporary deals, as well as the fact that they have never participated in an F1 preseason. However, their expertise means they have dealt with the newcomer nerves a little more than fellow rookies Gabriel Bortoleto, Isaac Hadjar, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli. The final name is replacing Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, thus his every lap will be intently monitored. How Hamilton and Ferrari perform in the full F1 limelight glare. The same will be true for Antonelli's predecessor, 7-time world champion Hamilton. He's now making his 3rd start in F1, but unlike the nearly 5,000 miles he logged before his F1 debut with McLaren in 2007, and the 3 4-day pre-season tests F1 went through in 2013 when he made his Mercedes debut, Hamilton has only 1.5 days to fully acclimatize with the SF25. Given that Fiorano's filming day last week was completed on Pirelli's demonstration tyres, which had restricted mileage, this event represents his first opportunity to truly assess how his new crew and car are performing. The beginning of the Hamilton-Ferrari cooperation has been the story of 2025's pre-season, and a good or weak Bahrain event for either side may well make headline testing as well. McLaren looking to end its Bahrain curse. Given that the Bahrain State Wealth Fund owns the parent McLaren Group, the home team has had a difficult time at the Saka track under this generation's regulations for design. In 2022, McLaren lost Daniel Ricciardo to COVID-19 for the length of the test, and a brake issue hampered Lando Norris's performance. The following year, it recorded the fewest laps of any team. Then, in 2024, after being boosted by its remarkable mid-2023 turnaround, it was evident Ferrari had snuck back ahead, and there were frustrating niggles such as fuel system debris that stopped a Norris race simulation. The team's best finish in the opening race here over the last 3 years has been 6th in 2024, although it will be another 6 weeks before F1 finds out if McLaren can improve in the 2025 Bahrain Grand Prix. As the defending Constructors' Champion squad, how the team performs with the MCL39 in testing this week will be a vital indicator of its form. It finished 2024 with a walk-off triumph, and now needs a smooth, fast week of preparation before returning to Melbourne for the season opener. Red Bull's Car Driving Challenge. Red Bull was unquestionably the class of the field in this event a year ago, winning the opening day by a wide margin and being so secure in its overall pace that it skipped the final day performance runs. However, most of the team's advantage stemmed from its competitors' underperformance. Dig a little deeper, and the problems that would harm the RB20 were already apparent, with Max Verstappen off the track several times due to the car's poor handling, the reliability gremlins that were seen more frequently at Red Bull than at any of the other top teams last year. The team has spent the winter working on the breakthrough it made in the RB20's handling concerns last year, as well as attempting to catch up with its competitors in terms of having low-drag rear wings. Now, it can see how its efforts have paid off. Don't trust the teams and drivers when they say, "It's only testing." their software analysis of competing cars means they already have a good idea of where they stand. It is important to understand what happens during testing. Mercedes finally smashes the cover. Mercedes was scheduled to finish a filming day at the Bahrain track on February 24th, just a few days before testing begins. Aston Martin will also send Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll out in the AMR25 for the same purpose. This is a break with how Mercedes has prepared for a new season in recent years, when it has staged the same day at Silverstone. However, after being thwarted by faulty designs and poor weather since 2022, the crew has decided to approach things differently this time. For both Mercedes and Aston, the filming day allows them to finish the early installation work that often dominates the first morning of testing. Unexpected developments in the cool tech conflict prepare for a lot of debate about how teams will carefully balance their 2025 car development with the need to best hone their first opponents constructed under the new rules that will be implemented next year. Midfield teams are anticipated to hurl everything they have at the early stages of the 2025 season before shifting their development resources to following year after only a few races. So, expect a lot of adjustments to the launch car parameters when the teams arrive in the desert. But there's also a lesson in recent F1 history that could be useful this week. Although the lack of aerodynamic regulation revisions means that the concepts presently being presented are evolutions of cars from the end of 2024, a similar tale played out in 2020. Mercedes surprised the Barcelona paddock, which hosted testing twice, by introducing the dual-axis steering system. Anything approaching a DAS repetition would be rather surprising, so keep an eye on the onboard coverage and speed track data to get a sense of what's going on with the flexi wings. This is expected to be tightened even further at the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix, miles into the campaign, and will be a topic of much discussion this week among team staff. Testing is more necessary this time around. As usual, teams will line up their new rivals and drivers on the grid for promotional photos of the new season of Netflix's Drive to Survive before the pit lane opens for the first race on Wednesday. And, because car running comes first, several of them will sprout aero load measuring rakes to be employed on the first morning when the photographers and videographers set up. However, Mercedes and Aston Martin will not be the only ones wanting to get some repair done this week, because the cars will not be left in the Sakhir paddock until FP1 begins for the first round this time. The teams will need to squeeze in as many laps as possible for their engineers to pour over even faster, to confirm or address anything of interest before everything is shipped to Melbourne. After all, the season opener switch means they won't have an extra week of work before returning to the same track to use the data right away. According to Racing Bull's team principal Laurent Mekies, it's perhaps a little more tricky than in the way you just test and race immediately the week after, so F1 fans should see more laps this week than last year. So, will there be any clear winners after testing? Or will it turn out to be a rather tame happening after all, consisting of sandbagging and competitor watching? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.